A wealthy woman, upon seeing the widow and her children sheltered in a gigantic industrial sewage pipe amidst a toxic electronic landfill, laughed at their plight. But the shock came when she discovered the ingenious home the mother had created within. The air, dense and metallic, carried the pungent odor of burnt circuits and volatile acids, a yellowish haze that corroded not just the lungs, but hope itself. In the epicenter of that technological hellscape, where mountains of electronic waste rose like monuments to unchecked consumption, the gigantic industrial sewage pipe rested, a colossal cylinder of rusted metal that for the widow and her children was the only safe haven. It was in this desolate landscape that the wealthy woman's vehicle, an armored utility vehicle that seemed to defy the very landscape, stopped abruptly. The door hissed open mechanically, and from it emerged the imposing figure of Donna Ilara, wrapped in a shimmering synthetic coat and a filtering mask that barely concealed the look of disgust in her eyes. She swept her gaze across the dump, then fixed it on the entrance of the pipe, where the widow, her hair tied back with a worn scarf and her face streaked with soot, watched her with a defiant stillness. Beside their mother, the two children, small and thin, peered out with curiosity and apprehension. Donna Ilara let out a short, shrill laugh that echoed grotesquely in the oppressive silence of the environment. "So this is where you hide, Maria, in a rat hole. I thought you had more dignity." Even after everything, her voice, muffled by the mask, still carried a sharp tone of mockery. A sewer pipe. What morbid creativity. Will your children grow up thinking this is a home? The widow, Maria, didn't flinch. Her eyes, though tired, gleamed with unwavering determination. "It's a roof over our heads, Donna Ilara, and it's safe. The air in here is better than out there, and the walls are stronger than any shack I could put up with what little I have left." She gestured to the dark interior of the pipe. "At least here, my children don't breathe pure poison every second." Donna Ilara snorted, a sound of disdain. "Safe? That's a joke. It's a glorified tomb. What do you do in there? Collect trash to decorate?" She took a hesitant step towards the entrance, morbid curiosity overcoming her initial revulsion. "Or do you really expect me to believe you've turned this aberration into something habitable?" Maria's children, a boy and a girl, clung closer to their mother, but their gazes were fixed on the rich woman, an otherworldly figure in that setting. Maria, sensing her employer's hesitation, straightened her shoulders. "You don't have to believe it. Donna Ilara, you can see for yourself." There was a subtle challenge in her voice, a dignity Donna Ilara hadn't expected. With a final suspicious glance at the external environment, Donna Ilara approached the opening. Daylight, filtered by the toxic haze, barely reached the interior of the pipe. She hesitated at the entrance, the smell of metal and dampness mixed with something else, something she couldn't identify. It was different from the stench of decay she expected. With an impatient sigh, she activated the flashlight on her wrist and stepped into the tunnel. Her first steps were cautious, her expensive shoes treading on the uneven ground. The initial darkness gave way to a surprising gloom. There was no chaotically piled trash, nor the abject filth she had imagined. Instead, the flashlight's beam revealed an improvised corridor. The inner walls of the pipe clean of soot and residue, lined in places with polished metal panels and recycled plastic sheets, forming a kind of rudimentary insulation. Donna Ilara stopped, shocked. As her eyes adjusted and her flashlight beam swept the surroundings, she began to discern the details. There were partitions made of tarps and fabric scraps, creating distinct areas. In one corner, a sleeping area with improvised foam mattresses and patched, but clean blankets. In another, a small table made from a cable spool, surrounded by low benches made of wooden crates. There was even a suspended shelf, carefully assembled from scrap, where some old books and simple toys were neatly arranged. The air inside the pipe, though still with a faint metallic smell, was noticeably cleaner, less harsh. There was a faint warmth, retained by the walls and layers of insulation. On one of the improvised walls, a child's drawing made with charcoal depicted a house with a smiling sun. Donna Ilara removed her mask, jaw agape. The mockery on her lips had vanished, replaced by an expression of disbelief. This was no rat hole. It was a home. A home built with ingenuity and desperation, yes, but undeniably a sanctuary. The sight of that organized, clean, and somehow welcoming space in the heart of a toxic landfill was a punch to the gut of her expectations. She looked at Maria, who now stood at the entrance, observing her with a calm that bordered on serenity. The shock was palpable. Donna Ilara remained motionless, her flashlight still pointed at the details that disproved every one of her assumptions. Jaw agape, eyes wide, she swept her gaze across the space again, as if searching for some flaw, some evidence that this was a grotesque illusion. But there was none. The light revealed the clean fabric of the blankets, the dull sheen of polished metal on the walls, the functional simplicity of the small improvised kitchen with reused cans and pots. There was even a small alcohol stove, carefully positioned on a brick base. Maria, with her children still clinging to her legs, watched her. There was no triumph in her gaze, only a resigned stillness, as if to say, "I told you so." Donna Ilara finally found her voice, a hoarse whisper she barely recognized. This is impossible. How did you do all this?" She gestured vaguely at the surroundings, disbelief coloring every word. "With what? Trash?" Maria took a step forward, entering deeper into the pipe, the gloom softening the lines of her face. "With what was available, Donna Ilara, with what I could find and what I could repurpose." She pointed to the walls. "The metal panels are from old server casings, the plastics from packaging and cable sheaths. Everything in here serves a purpose. Before, it was just discarded." Donna Ilara approached the shelf, her hesitant fingers touching the spine of a faded children's book. "And the air? How is the air so different?" "Improvised filters," Maria explained, pointing to an opening at the top of the pipe, where a complex network of fabrics and metal screens was installed. "And the insulation helps to retain heat and keep out the worst of what comes from outside. It's constant work, but it's what keeps us alive." Maria's children, previously apprehensive, now seemed more relaxed within their sanctuary. The boy, about 7 years old, pointed to the drawing on the wall. "I made the house, Mama." His childish voice, full of pride, echoed in the space, breaking the tension. Donna Ilara looked at the drawing, then at the boy, and a lump formed in her throat. She had always seen Maria as an employee, a distant figure in her social hierarchy, never as a mother, an architect of survival, a guardian of hope as fragile as it was resilient. But the water, the food. Donna Ilara's voice still carried a questioning tone, but the mockery had been completely replaced by a reluctant admiration. "How do you survive here day after day?" Maria sighed, deep weariness etching her eyes, but her voice remained firm. "Water is rationed. It brought from the nearest collection point when I can get it. Food is what I can buy with the little I earn, or what I find that's still safe to eat." She paused, her eyes fixed on Donna Ilara's. "It's not an easy life, Donna Ilara, but it is a life. And it's the only one we have where my children can breathe without feeling their lungs burn." Donna Ilara felt a shiver, not from the cold of the environment, but from the raw truth. She, who lived in a bubble of comfort and luxury, stood there, witnessing human resilience in its purest, most desperate form. The image of that home, built with scrap and love, amidst the toxic apocalypse, was a silent indictment of her own complacency. She turned to Maria, her eyes now devoid of any trace of mockery. There was only a complex mixture of shock, respect and a pang of guilt that she didn't know how to process. I don't know what to say, Maria. Maria merely nodded, as if expecting this reaction. You don't have to say anything, Donna Elara. Just see. Silence filled the pipe again, but this time it was a silence laden with a new understanding. Donna Elara looked at Maria's children, who now played silently with scraps they had turned into toys. They were safe, warm, and somehow happy within that cylinder of rusted metal. It was a miracle, a testament to the unbreakable strength of a mother. Donna Elara knew that her view of Maria, and perhaps even of herself, would never be the same. The scrap sanctuary had revealed a truth she never expected to find. Donna Elara felt the weight of that moment, not just in the dense air of the pipe, but in her own chest. The initial mockery, the morbid curiosity, all crumbled to dust, replaced by an overwhelming admiration and a searing shame. She, who considered herself a successful woman, with her impeccable home and protected life, stood before a woman who, with nothing but her willpower and love for her children, had created an oasis in the midst of hell. Her eyes swept over the details again. The small pot with a withered but living plant on an improvised table, the children's drawings taped to the walls, the way Maria had transformed danger into protection, discarded waste into a home. It was an architecture of necessity, an ode to resilience. Maria, Donna Elara began, her voice still hoarse, but now tinged with a sincerity she rarely allowed to show. I had no idea. I truly had no idea what you were facing, what you had built. Maria nodded, without a hint of self-pity. No one does, Donna Elara. Those who live out there in the city can't imagine what it takes to survive here. She looked at her children, who now watched her with childish curiosity. But it's not about what you face, it's about what you do with what you have. Silence settled again, but this time it was a silence of mutual respect, of a newly built bridge between two such distant realities. Donna Elara felt a shiver, but it wasn't from the cold. It was the sensation of an internal barrier crumbling. She approached one of the walls, running her fingers over the polished metal surface. It was cold to the touch, but not damp. As Maria crouched to tidy one of the children's blankets, Donna Elara heard it. A subtle, almost inaudible sound, which she initially attributed to the wind outside, or some remnant of the pipe, a drip. Fine, constant, but muffled. She furrowed her brow, tilting her head. "Did you hear that, Maria?" Maria stopped what she was doing, looking up. "What, Donna Elara?" "That sound. It sounds like water." A drip. Donna Elara pointed to a deeper section of the pipe, where the curve became more pronounced and the flashlight's beam barely reached. "It's coming from there, I think." Maria listened intently, and her eyes widened slightly. I always hear strange noises, Donna Elara. The wind, the metal expanding and contracting. I never paid much attention. I thought it was the dampness from the old sewer." Donna Elara, however, felt a strange urgency. That sound was different, more regular, more clean. She moved cautiously to the darker part of the pipe, her flashlight sweeping the floor and walls. The dripping became more distinct. "No, Maria, that's not sewage. It's different." She knelt, examining the floor. There was a small puddle, almost imperceptible in the gloom, but the flashlight's beam revealed that the water was clear, crystalline. Maria approached, disbelief on her face. She touched the water with her fingertips, then brought them to her nose. "It doesn't smell of anything. It's clean." Donna Elara followed the trail of moisture up the pipe wall to a point where a fine, almost invisible crack opened in the metal. From there, drop by drop, a small spring of pure water trickled, slowly accumulating. It wasn't a strong flow, but it was constant. It's a spring, Donna Elara whispered, her voice full of reverent awe. Inside this pipe, pure water. Maria knelt beside her, her eyes fixed on the crack. The antithesis of all the suffering, all the toxicity that surrounded them, sprang forth there, silent and persistent. It was a miracle, an unexpected gift in the heart of hell. The children, sensing the change in atmosphere, approached, looking at the water with the same curiosity. "Mama, water!" the boy exclaimed, pointing. Maria touched the water again, and this time a tear rolled down her life-worn face. It wasn't a tear of sadness, but of a deep and overwhelming emotion. It was hope, the reward for her resilience, hidden within the very structure that sheltered them. Donna Elara watched, feeling like an intruder in such an intimate moment, but at the same time, part of something grand. That dripping was more than water. It was the promise of a future, a breath of life in a dying world. Donna Elara watched Maria kneeling, tears streaming down her face, and felt a tightness in her chest. They were not tears of despair, but of a silent liberation, of a hope that had been denied for so long. The image of that woman who had built a home with scrap and love, now witnessing a miracle, was something Donna Elara would never forget. "Maria," Donna Elara whispered, her voice choked with emotion. It's unbelievable. Pure water. Here." She knelt beside Maria, reaching out to touch the small puddle. The water was cold, refreshing, and there wasn't the slightest trace of the metallic or chemical odor that permeated the air outside. It was life. Maria looked up, her reddened eyes, but with a sparkle Donna Elara had never seen before. I don't know what to say, Donna Elara. I always dreamed of something like this, of a place where my children could have the basics without having to fight for every drop, for every breath." She looked at the crack in the wall, from where the water continued to flow, slowly but incessantly. It's as if the pipe itself decided to give us a chance. The children, the boy and the girl, approached, their small faces reflecting the flashlight's beam. "Mama, can we drink?" the girl asked, her voice full of innocent curiosity. Maria smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her tired face. "Yes, my loves, we can. It's clean water." She picked up one of the reused cans that served as a cup and carefully filled it with water from the puddle, offering it first to her daughter, then to her son. They drank eagerly, eyes wide with the novelty, the purity of the taste. Donna Elara watched the scene, feeling a wave of shame and guilt. She, who had filtered and bottled water at will, had never stopped to think about the invaluable worth of something so fundamental. Her life of privilege seemed grotesque in the face of Maria's daily struggle. "Maria, I'm so sorry," Donna Elara finally said, her voice almost inaudible. "For everything, for my ignorance, for my mockery. I had no idea what you and your children were facing, what you were capable of." Maria shook her head. "There's nothing to apologize for, Donna Elara. Those who live in another world cannot understand ours. But now you've seen." She looked at the water again, then at Donna Elara. "This water, it's more than just for drinking. It's a sign that even in the worst place, life finds a way." The silence that followed was filled by the soft dripping of the spring, a sound that now seemed a melody of hope. Donna Elara felt a profound transformation within herself. The vision of Maria, no longer as her employee, but as a heroine, an indomitable mother, had dismantled all her prejudices. That scrap sanctuary, once an object of scorn, was now a testament to the purest form of human resilience. She stood up, the flashlight still in her hand, illuminating the crack in the wall. We need to protect this, Maria. This water is precious. It's your salvation." Maria stood up too, her eyes fixed on Donna Elara's, a new understanding passing between them. "I know, Donna Elara. It's our hope." Donna Elara felt an impulse, a need to act, to make amends. I can help, Maria. Somehow. I don't know how yet, but I can't just leave and pretend I saw nothing. Maria nodded slowly, a small smile of gratitude on her lips. You've already done so much, Donna Elara, by seeing, by understanding. The pipe, once a symbol of despair, now radiated a faint light of promise. The pure water, gushing from the rusted structure, was the perfect antithesis of all the suffering Maria and her children had endured. It was the reward, proof that life, even in the most adverse conditions, always finds a way to flourish. And Donna Elara, witness to this miracle, knew that her own life had changed forever. That dripping was not just water, it was the sound of a new beginning, for Maria, for her children, and perhaps for her too. Donna Elara remained there kneeling, her hand still touching the cold, damp surface of the pipe. The flashlight, now resting on the ground, cast a circle of light over the small puddle, transforming the falling drops into tiny, shimmering pearls. The air inside the pipe, which had previously seemed heavy and stagnant, now vibrated with a different energy, a silent promise. She looked at Maria, whose eyes were still moist, but a soft smile played on her lips. It wasn't the forced smile Maria usually displayed at work, nor the tense expression of someone struggling to survive. It was a smile of relief, of gratitude, of a hope as pure as the water they had just discovered. "Maria," Donna Elara began, her voice choked. I don't know what to say. It's a miracle." Maria shook her head, her eyes fixed on the crack. "Miracle or not, Donna Elara, it's the answer to many prayers, to many sleepless nights, wondering how to protect my children from all this." She gestured vaguely to the outside, to the toxic world that surrounded them. "Out there we have to fight for every sip. Here it was given to us." The children, now calmer, sat near the puddle, fascinated by the water's gleam. The boy reached out his small hand, and Maria gently stopped him. "Careful, my love. It's precious." Donna Elara felt a lump in her throat. The scene was so simple, so stripped bare, and yet laden with a beauty and truth she had never experienced in her opulent life. She, who worried about the brand of mineral water she drank, stood before a family who saw a drip from a crack as the greatest of blessings. The shame she felt was almost unbearable, but it was no longer the shame of having been deceived or of being in a strange place. It was the shame of her own blindness, her insensitivity. "We need to think about how to collect this, Maria," Donna Elara said, her practical mind beginning to work despite the emotion, "and how to keep it safe. No one else can know about this." Maria nodded, her expression serious. "I've already thought about that, Donna Elara. It's what worries me most. If someone finds out, they'll want to take it from us. Here, everything is a struggle for survival." "We won't let them," Donna Elara stated with a conviction that surprised her. "I will help you protect it. I can't just leave and pretend none of this happened, that I didn't see what you built, what you found." Maria looked at her, and for the first time Donna Elara saw not only gratitude, but a flicker of trust in the employee's eyes. "You don't have to do this, Donna Elara. Just having seen and not mocked again, that's already a lot." "No, Maria, I need to," Donna Elara insisted, her voice firm. "I need to. My whole life I lived in a bubble, thinking I knew everything. You showed me what strength is, what love is, and now you've shown me what a miracle is. I cannot turn my back on this, on you all." She stood up, and Maria followed her. The dripping continued, a constant rhythm that filled the silence. "We can use the cans you have to collect," Donna Elara suggested, looking around. "And we need something to cover the crack when we're not collecting, something that won't draw attention. Maria pointed to a corner. "I have some old tarp pieces, Donna Ilara, and some plastic bottles that I wash and keep. We can use them." Donna Ilara's mind was already buzzing with ideas, not just for collecting the water, but for the future. She thought of filters, larger containers, how she could bring supplies without raising suspicion. The pipe, which had previously seemed a place of despair, was now a refuge with a hidden treasure. "Maria," Donna Ilara said, placing her hand on the woman's shoulder, a gesture of intimacy she never would have imagined making. "This water, it's your chance, your children's chance, and I will do everything in my power to ensure you have it." Maria didn't respond with words, but her eyes, once so full of weariness, now shone with a new light, a light of hope and perhaps an unexpected friendship. That dripping, the antithesis of all the suffering, was more than pure water. It was the catalyst for a transformation, not only for Maria's family, but for Donna Ilara herself. The scrap sanctuary had revealed not only a miracle, but the human capacity to find light even in the deepest darkness. As the children, finally sated, nestled close to their mother, Donna Ilara began to plan. "I need to leave here before the sun fully rises," she said, her voice lower, almost conspiratorial. "But I will return, and I will bring things that can help, larger containers, perhaps a sturdier tarp to cover the crack's entrance, and, above all, discretion." Maria nodded, trust growing in her eyes. "I know you will. I feel it." Donna Ilara felt a warmth in her chest. It was the first time in a long time that she felt she was doing something truly meaningful. The dump, once a place of repulsion, was now the stage for a mission, and the dripping water, a thread of life amidst the desolation, was the symbol of this new alliance. Time seemed to trickle away like the water from the crack. Donna Ilara knew she had to hurry. Dawn would bring more activity to the dump, and her presence there would be even more noticed. She knelt again, this time to say goodbye to the children. "Be strong, my little ones," she whispered, stroking the boy's grimy hair. The girl, bolder, hugged her briefly, a gesture that made Donna Ilara's heart clench. "I'll cover the crack with the old tarp I have, Donna Ilara," Maria said, already moving to pick up the ragged piece of fabric. "And the bottles, we'll fill them and hide them well." Donna Ilara watched Maria work with silent efficiency, her movements laden with new hope. "Excellent. And remember, Maria, no one can know. No one." "I know," Maria replied, her eyes meeting Donna Ilara's. There was a complicity there that transcended years of employer-employee relationship. It was the complicity of two women united by a vital secret. With a final look at the shimmering puddle and at the family who now saw in it the promise of a future, Donna Ilara stood up. The flashlight, which had previously illuminated the miracle, now served to guide her back into the darkness of the exit. "I will return," she promised, more to herself than to Maria. The journey back through the pipe felt different. The smell of rusted metal and dampness was still there, but the repulsion had been replaced by a strange familiarity. Every obstacle, every shadow, was now a reminder of the sanctuary she was leaving behind and the mission that awaited her. As she emerged from the pipe, the outside air, previously poisonous and acidic, seemed less oppressive. The dump, with its mountains of scrap and toxic smoke, was no longer just a scene of misery, but a labyrinth holding a treasure. Donna Ilara walked quickly, avoiding the few scavengers who were already beginning to emerge like ghosts in the pre-dawn gloom. Her expensive shoes, now mud-caked and scratched, were a physical testament to her journey. Her dress, once impeccable, was crumpled and dirty. But she didn't care. The external grime was insignificant compared to the cleanliness she felt in her soul. Upon reaching the edge of the dump, where her luxury car awaited her, she hesitated for a moment. The transition from one world to the other was abrupt, almost violent. The driver, a discreet man accustomed to Donna Ilara's eccentric hours, opened the door without asking questions. Inside the car, the silence was heavy. Donna Ilara looked at her hands, still feeling the cold of the pipe. What she had seen, what she had felt, was something that could not be undone. Her opulent life, her superficial concerns, everything seemed ridiculous now. The image of pure water dripping in the darkness, the hope in Maria's eyes, the girl's hug. These were the new jewels of her existence. Upon arriving at her mansion, the sun was already beginning to tinge the sky a pale orange. Her husband, still asleep, would not notice her prolonged absence. She went to her private bathroom, a sanctuary of marble and mirrors. The water gushing from the chrome faucet seemed bland, lifeless, compared to the water springing from the crack in the pipe. "I need to be smart," she murmured to herself as the warm shower water washed away the grime of the dump, but not the memories. "I need to be discreet. No one can suspect." The task of protecting Maria and her children, of ensuring they had access to that miracle, was now the priority of her life. Donna Ilara, the previously indifferent employer, had transformed into the guardian of a hope, forged in darkness and resilience. The game of her life had changed, and she was ready to play. As she stepped out of the shower, steam fogged the mirror, but not the clarity in her mind. She dressed in clean, simple clothes, a linen outfit she rarely wore. The luxury of her wardrobe now seemed like a disguise, armor for a battle she didn't even know she was fighting. She went down to the kitchen, where the staff was already preparing breakfast. The smell of fresh coffee and toast, once comforting, now seemed artificial, distant from the reality of the metallic and damp smell that still lingered in her nostrils. "Good morning, Donna Ilara," the cook greeted, noticing nothing unusual about her employer, other than perhaps a certain paleness. "Good morning," Donna Ilara replied, her voice sounding strangely formal to her own ears. She picked up a cup of coffee, but didn't feel like eating. Her mind was racing, mentally cataloguing everything she had seen in the pipe, every detail of Maria's sanctuary. How would she transport the supplies without raising suspicion? Her driver was loyal, but not blind. Her staff were discreet, but observant. She couldn't just fill the car with water carboys and tarps and go to the dump. She needed a plan. "I need an excuse," she thought, as she pretended to read the morning newspaper. "Something that justifies my outings and the things I'll bring." The idea of a private charity project came to mind. It was plausible. Donna Ilara was known for her sporadic donations, though always to reputable institutions, never for something so visceral. She went up to her office, an imposing space with shelves full of books she rarely opened. She sat at her mahogany desk and picked up a notepad. The pen gliding across the paper felt like an act of rebellion. Containers. Empty water carboys, plastic buckets, perhaps a portable water filter. Covering, durable dark tarp that would blend into the dump landscape. Transport. How? Could she say she was collecting materials for a conceptual art project or donations for a distant, needy community? The latter seemed more convincing. Frequency. She couldn't go every day. Once a week? Twice? Enough to ensure Maria had what she needed, but not so much as to draw attention. Money. She would need cash to buy things discreetly without traces on her credit cards. Maria's name echoed in her mind. The trust in the employee's eyes was a burden and a blessing. She could not fail. The image of pure water dripping, a thread of life amidst the desolation, was a constant reminder of what was at stake. "I will create a foundation," she decided, an audacious idea that could serve as a shield, a small, discreet one, to help forgotten communities. This would give her the freedom to buy and transport items without questions. No one would question a wealthy lady involved in philanthropy. The sun was already high, flooding the office with a golden light. Donna Ilara looked out the window at the impeccable garden, at the city stretching below. Her world, once so safe and predictable, now seemed fragile, an illusion. The real world. Maria's world was raw and unforgiving, but it also contained a truth and a beauty that she was only now beginning to comprehend. The shame of her previous life, of her ignorance, still gnawed at her. But now, there was something more, a purpose, a strength she didn't know she possessed. She, who always delegated everything, now found herself planning every detail of a secret operation. Her husband, Mr. Ilara, entered the office, yawning. "Good morning, dear. Up early?" He barely looked at her, already picking up the newspaper she had left. "Yes," she replied, her voice calm, almost cold. "I had an idea for a new project, something that might keep me busy for a while." He merely nodded, absorbed in the news. "Good. It's good to have something to do." Donna Ilara smiled. A smile that didn't reach her eyes. He had no idea. No one did, and that was exactly how she wanted it to remain. The guardian of the secret, the protector of the miracle. The game had truly changed, and Donna Ilara was ready to play with all her might. The decision to create a foundation, however audacious, brought a clarity she had not felt in a long time. It was not just a shield. It was a bridge, a way to channel her vast influence and resources towards a purpose that transcended the superficial. That same morning, after her husband's indifferent departure for work, Donna Ilara called her private lawyer, Dr. Almeida. "I need your help with a new venture, Doctor," she began, her voice controlled, but with a note of urgency he rarely heard. "A small charity foundation. Something discreet, focused on needy communities. Say, in rural or forgotten areas." Dr. Almeida, a man accustomed to the whims of his wealthy clients, took notes without questioning. "Certainly, Donna Ilara. What would be the foundation's name? And what's the initial capital?" Donna Ilara hesitated for a moment. The name. Aurora Foundation, she said, the name emerging spontaneously, like a ray of light in the darkness. And the initial capital, let's say, a substantial enough amount to begin operating immediately. "I need agility, Doctor." "Agility will be the priority, Donna Ilara," he promised. "I'll prepare the paperwork and contact you for the details." Hanging up the phone, Donna Ilara felt a rush of adrenaline. The first step was taken, but the foundation would take time to be formalized. She needed to act now. Maria and her children couldn't wait. Her mind began to work on the practical details. How to transport supplies without raising suspicion before the Aurora Foundation was operational. Her driver, João, was loyal, but couldn't be directly involved in the secret. "I need an excuse for João," she thought. As she walked through the living room, her eyes fixed on the garden that stretched beyond the windows. "Something that justifies my trips to the dump, but doesn't make him question the nature of my visit." An idea sparked. She remembered a casual conversation with a friend about the growing popularity of junk art or recycled art. It was an eccentric but plausible niche for someone of her social standing who wanted to venture into something different. She called João. "João, I need you to take me to the dump again this afternoon," she instructed, her voice a little more animated than usual. "I'm developing a new hobby, a kind of art project with recycled materials. I need some specific items." João, always professional, showed no surprise. "At your service, Donna Ilara. What time?" 2 in the afternoon, and please prepare the car to transport some items, perhaps some empty boxes, so I can bring back what I find." She needed something to disguise the water car boys. With transport resolved, the next challenge was the acquisition of the items. She couldn't use her credit cards to buy dozens of water carboys and tarps at nearby stores. That would leave a trail. Donna Ilara took her purse and withdrew a considerable amount of cash from a secret compartment. It was money she kept for emergencies, or for purchases she preferred to keep off bank records. She put on a simple coat and a wide-brimmed hat, something that would make her less recognizable. "I'm going out for some personal shopping, without the driver," she informed one of the maids, who nodded. She drove her own car, a more discreet model she rarely used, to a distant neighborhood, where there were hardware stores and camping supply shops. There, she bought empty water carboys, a high-capacity portable water filter, and a durable, dark tarp, all from different stores, always paying in cash. Each purchase was an act of silent rebellion, a breaking of the invisible rules of her life. Upon returning to the mansion, she hid the items in the garage, under a pile of old boxes. Her heart pounded, a mixture of fear and excitement. She was acting, she was making a difference. At 2 in the afternoon, Joan was waiting for her. In the trunk, Donna Ilara placed the empty boxes she had requested, and beneath them, discreetly, the items she had bought. "Let's go, Joan," she said, getting into the car. "To the dump." The journey back to the dump, this time in daylight, seemed even more surreal. The mountains of electronic waste, the scavengers moving like shadows. Everything seemed more vivid, more real. But now, she saw not just the misery, she saw the urgency of her mission. "Stop here, Joan," she instructed, pointing to a less busy area near the entrance of the pipe. "I'll look for some materials around here. You don't need to wait for me. You can go and come back in an hour. If anyone asks, say I'm looking for art pieces." Joan nodded, accustomed to his employer's eccentricities. He left, leaving Donna Ilara alone at the edge of the scrap abyss. With her heart in her throat, she opened the trunk, grabbed one of the empty boxes, and, with a quick, furtive movement, removed the carboys, the tarp, and the filter, hiding them under her coat and inside the box. Adrenaline pulsed through her veins. She was in enemy territory, but she was armed with a purpose. Donna Ilara headed for the entrance of the pipe, the smell of metal and dampness enveloping her again. This time, there was no repulsion, only determination. She was returning to the sanctuary, to Maria, to the miracle that was now her responsibility. The game had begun, and she was playing to win. Adrenaline pulsed through her veins, an incessant drumming that muffled the distant sound of cranes and the metallic screech of the dump. Donna Ilara was in enemy territory, but she was armed with a purpose. She headed for the entrance of the pipe, the smell of metal and dampness enveloping her again. With her heart in her throat, she slipped into the damp darkness. The faint light, filtering through the cracks in the pipe, revealed the familiar path. "Maria," she called, her voice a little hoarse, echoing in the cavernous space. A rustle, and Maria emerged from the gloom, her eyes wide with surprise. She held a pot, as if she had been caught in the middle of a task. "Donna Ilara, you came back." There was a mixture of shock and a flicker of distrust in the employee's voice. Donna Ilara hurried towards her, the empty box in one hand and her coat covering the carboys and the filter. "Yes, Maria, I said I would." She bent down, revealing the carefully hidden items. "I brought some things." Maria looked at the empty carboys, at the dark tarp, and finally, at the complex device of the portable water filter. Her eyes filled with tears, and she brought her hands to her mouth, choking back a sob. But how? Why? The sight of Maria's raw gratitude was more powerful than any praise she had ever received. I couldn't ignore what I saw, Maria, and the water, the pure water. It's a miracle. You need everything to protect it." She extended the filter to Maria. "This is a high-capacity water filter. It will ensure that the water you collect is always safe to drink, and these carboys are for storing it. The tarp is for you to have more privacy, more protection against the wind and rain that might get in here. Maria took the filter with trembling hands, examining it as if it were a sacred artifact. Donna Elara, I don't know what to say. I thought you would never come back, that you had mocked me. I know, Donna Elara admitted, her voice soft. And forgive me for that. I was blind. But now I see, and I want to help. She paused, remembering the excuse she had created for Joan. I told my driver I'm collecting materials for an art project. Scrap pieces, you understand. It's the only way I can come here without raising too many questions. So if anyone asks, that's what I'm doing. Maria nodded, wiping away tears with the back of her hand. I understand. An art project. She looked at the carboys. With this, we won't have to ration the water we find so much anymore, and the tarp. Will help a lot with the cold. Maria's children, attracted by the sound of voices, emerged curious. When they saw the carboys and the filter, their eyes widened. The eldest, Pedro, asked, Is it for the pure water, Mama? Maria smiled, a radiant smile Donna Elara had never seen. Yes, my son, it's for our pure water. Donna Elara brought it for us. Donna Elara felt a warmth spread through her chest. It was a new feeling, deeper than any satisfaction that money or social status had ever given her. We need to think about how to collect this water efficiently, she said, turning to Maria. Where exactly is the source? Maria pointed to a deeper part of the pipe, where the darkness was almost total. It's further back, a constant drip from a crack in the wall. It's a bit difficult to reach, but with the carboys, we can carry more at once. And the filter, Donna Elara added. It can be attached to one of the carboys, or we can filter the water as we use it. The important thing is that you have constant access to this vital water. A comfortable silence settled between the two women, broken only by the distant murmur of the dump and the faint dripping of water somewhere further inside. The initial tension had dissolved, replaced by a mutual understanding. I don't know how to thank you, Donna Elara, Maria said, her voice choked. You don't need to thank me, Maria, Donna Elara replied, placing her hand on the employee's shoulder. I'm just doing what's right, and I will return, with more things when I can. The Aurora Foundation will still take some time to be formalized, but I will find ways to bring you what you need. She couldn't give too many details about the foundation yet, but the promise of continued help was real. Maria looked at her, and this time there was no distrust, only deep gratitude and a new hope. It was a look that Donna Elara would carry with her. Now, I must go, Donna Elara said, checking her watch. Joan will be back soon. But I promise this won't be the last time. She turned to leave, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the lightness of a newfound purpose. The dump was still a hostile place, but within that pipe, a sanctuary of resilience and hope was being nurtured, and Donna Elara, the previously indifferent employer, was now its guardian. She was playing to win, and the first round had been a success. Donna Elara departed, leaving behind not only the supplies, but a wave of hope that Maria felt vibrating in the dense air of the pipe. The children, Pedro and little Anna, still had wide eyes, alternating their gaze between the gleaming carboys and the water filter, a piece of technology that seemed magical in their hands. Mama, can we use it now? Pedro asked, his voice full of contained excitement. Maria smiled, a smile that reached her tired eyes, lighting them up. Yes, my love, right now. She knelt, examining the filter carefully. It was more robust and efficient than anything she had ever seen. The instructions were simple, but the complexity of the device impressed her. First, let's set this up. With Pedro's help, who watched her every move intently, Maria managed to attach the filter to one of the carboys. The dark, heavy tarp was spread out and tied with pieces of wire and rope Maria had saved. She covered the main entrance of the pipe, creating a barrier against the biting wind and intrusive light from the dump. The interior of the sanctuary became darker, but also cozier and, for the first time, truly private. "Now, let's get the water," Maria announced, picking up the carboy with the filter attached. Little Anna grabbed Pedro's hand, and the three ventured deeper into the damp darkness of the pipe. The constant dripping of the spring was the only sound, a soft and promising rhythm. Reaching the crack in the wall was always a challenge. The floor was uneven, and the almost total darkness required Maria to move cautiously, guiding her children. Finally, they reached the point where the pure water trickled, a silver thread that gleamed faintly under the light of Maria's improvised lantern. With the filter attached, the collection process was transformed. Instead of patiently waiting for the few drops to fill a small container, the filter allowed the water to be directed and purified directly into the carboy. The sound of water filling the container was music to Maria's ears. Every liter that accumulated was a promise of health, of relief, of life. "It's so fast, Mama," Anna whispered, marveling. "Yes, my love, it's a gift," Maria replied, feeling the fresh water in her hands as she checked the flow. Back in the main area, the carboy, full of crystalline water, was placed in a safe corner. Maria picked up a cup and filled it, offering it first to Anna, then to Pedro. They drank slowly, savoring each sip, the purity of the water contrasting with the metallic and acidic taste that often accompanied the little water they managed to get. "We don't have to be thirsty anymore, Mama?" Pedro asked, his eyes shining. "No, my son, not anymore," Maria confirmed, a lump in her throat. The tarp, the carboys, the filter, all of it was more than simple objects. They were symbols of a new era, of a hope she had almost forgotten existed. The sanctuary inside the pipe, once a refuge of despair, was now a bastion of resilience and, finally, comfort. Meanwhile, Donna Ilara drove back to the city, her heart still pounding. The smell of the dump began to dissipate from her clothes, but the image of Maria's radiant smile and the children's hopeful eyes remained vivid in her mind. The adrenaline of the mission had subsided, replaced by a sense of peace and purpose that she had never experienced in her life of luxury. "Everything all right, Donna Ilara?" João asked, looking at her in the rearview mirror. "Yes, João. Everything's fine," she replied, her voice firmer than she expected. "The art project is progressing very well." She knew the excuse was flimsy, but for now, it was enough. Her mind was already buzzing with plans. The Aurora Foundation couldn't just be a pretty name. It needed to be a real force, capable of bringing significant change. She thought of others living in similar conditions, invisible to the world outside. Maria and her children were just the beginning. Donna Ilara felt a weight, but it was not the weight of a burden, but rather of responsibility. A responsibility she embraced with a newfound passion. The dump, once a symbol of repulsion, was now the epicenter of her new purpose. She had mocked, she had doubted, but now she saw the truth. True wealth lay not in possessions, but in the ability to transform despair into hope, and she was determined to be that transformation. The next visit would be even more planned, more impactful. She was playing to win, and Maria's victory was her own. The sanctuary in the pipe was just the first step. In the landfill, under the ever-grey sky, the industrial sewage pipe, once merely a refuge, pulsated with new life. The pure water, the protective tarp, the full carboys, each item was a testament to Maria's ingenuity and Donna Ilara's unexpected compassion. It was the climax of resilience, the reward for enduring the unbearable. Maria watched her children sleeping soundly, sated and safe, and for the first time in a long time, she too felt the promise of peaceful sleep. That bizarre home, built with desperation and love, was now a true sanctuary, a beacon of hope in a hostile world, and Donna Ilara, the previously indifferent employer, had become its guardian, its ally, and an echo of the dawn that promised a new day.